Howdy ho ho, my good humans. Welcome back to the channel. This is Unnecessary Rambling. I'm Brandon Sylvia. Appreciate y'all for tuning in to talk a little Xbox here today. So by the time you're watching this, I'm sure most of you already know Indiana Jones is coming to PS5 spring 2025. And yeah, I fucking hate this and I want to talk about it. And I guess let me hit it from a personal standpoint first, why it really irritates me from just a personal level. I bought an Xbox Series X in 2020. And, after this Bethesda acquisition, you get quotes like Phil Spencer saying, we're buying Bethesda so that we can commit to making great exclusive games for Xbox in the future, whatever the fuck the exact quote was.
An Xbox customer, the thing I want you to know is this is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists.
And now you're seeing Indiana Jones from Bethesda, machine games coming to PS5, spring 2025. Doom launching day and date. Blade, I feel like, is a given that that's going to come to PS5, if not a timed exclusive for Xbox. That's best case scenario. I think most likely that'll be day and date as well. And then, you'll remember at the beginning, right when they acquired Bethesda, which I know this is already contractually obligated. They couldn't really do anything about this, but Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop both came to PS5 in, a timed exclusive capacity. So it's just like not a good look across the board. I mean, you do have Starfield and Hi-Fi Rush, but once again, Hi-Fi Rush, they released probably the best exclusive game on Xbox. For most people would consider it the best exclusive game on Xbox in 2023, and then they shuttered the studio. So it's like the fruits of the labor of this Bethesda acquisition are not really bearing in favor of the Xbox fan. And I mean, do we really think Elder Scrolls 6 is going to skip PlayStation? Do we really think that one's going to be the one? Nah. Elder Scrolls 6 will be on PlayStation day and date. Do we really think Fallout 5 is going to skip PlayStation? That'll be PlayStation 5, 6, probably fucking PlayStation 7 day and date. And so that all kind of ties back to the point where the only reason I bought the Xbox, the Series X in 2020, is because they owned Obsidian, Ninja Theory, and then, they owned all these different developers and now publishers, where I was like, oh shit, okay, well, to play their exclusive games, I'm going to have to get an Xbox, because that was the thing that they were touting at the time. And now 4 years removed, I don't know why the fuck I own this thing. I have no idea why I'm hanging on to this thing. And it's, once again, I'm hanging on because of the lack of clarity, where I want to play Perfect Dark. For sure, I want to play that. That shit looks sick as hell. Fable, I definitely want to play that. That looks sick as hell. And those are technically Xbox Game Studios developers. Whereas, okay, Bethesda, sure, they're their own entity in their own little wing of this building. But what so the lack of clarity is the thing that's preventing me from just selling this, because that's the thing. I want to, if I'm going to sell it, I want to sell it while it still has some value. Let me go ahead and get my 350 bucks for this thing if you're going to be putting all your games on PlayStation. But I'm not going to miss out on Perfect Dark or Fable. So if you'll tell me, okay, it's a year for Xbox Game Studios games before they come to any other platforms, then cool. I'm gonna keep my damn Xbox. I'm not waiting a year to play Fable or Perfect Dark. But if it's gonna be a 3-4 month wait, like it is with Indiana Jones, for Xbox Game Studios games, as well as Bethesda games, as well as, I mean, Activision games, I think are all gonna pretty much be day one PS5 Series X releases. So it's like, if that's going to be the case for your entire publishing outfit, if you're really moving that direction into a straight up third party publisher, let that shit be known so I can make a couple quick bucks and sell this damn thing. So once again, that is from a very personal standpoint. I'm going to talk a little bit more about why I think the lack of exclusives, or the lack of exclusivity in general, I think it's bad for the industry. And specifically bad for Xbox, because you see Phil Spencer often talking about, well, the industry is changing. It's an ever evolving industry. And sure, that's true. But like, they make it seem like they are it's like, well, we want to get our games in front of as many people as possible. And if you're not doing that, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're in this business for. Whatever the fucking weird ass quote he just dropped at Gamescom was.
And I think that us as fans, as players of games, we just have to anticipate there's going to be more change in how some of the traditional ways that games were built and distributed. That's going to change. That's going to change for all of us. But the end result has to be better games that more people can play. If we're not focused on that, I think we're focused on the wrong things.
And it's like, dude, you're trying to spin this narrative as such that like everybody is struggling with the traditional console model. And it's just not true. You're the only one struggling with the traditional console model. PS5 is outpacing PS4 in sales. The Switch is going to end up being the best selling console of all time. And that is the most traditional ass old school approach to to selling video games that there is. I mean, that is a company that is totally reliant on first party software to sell the hardware, and exclusive first party software to sell the hardware. That none of that shit's coming to PS5 or PC or Xbox. Like, they are totally reliant on their exclusive games, and it took them to, just the absolute fucking pinnacle, the best selling video game console of all time when it's all said and done. So it's like this weird defeatist outlook that Xbox is like trying to push onto everybody else and get you under this illusion that everyone else is struggling. And it's like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? It's just y'all. And that's the thing that bums me out the most is I think they were so fucking close. They were so close. And I think a lot of this does come back to the Game Pass factor where it's like, maybe that was just the bad move. Maybe that was the bad move of, okay, we got to get 100 million people in this thing for it to be sustainable. We're at 30 million. We're 70 million away from ever making this fucking thing work. And now I think we're almost at a spot with Xbox game releases where they're so good, or at least seemingly going to be so consistent in terms of the output, the volume for the foreseeable future, that it's like, man, just selling these things, I think you got some games on your hands that would have sold like fucking hotcakes under that traditional model, that's working so well for everybody but you. Like, I think Fable could be a real unit mover. I think Doom, obviously the new Doom game, would have been a real unit mover. Perfect Dark, like I said, Clockwork Revolution, South of Midnight. They have so many games on the horizon that look really, really high quality. And, for me personally, once again, I think their output as of late has been really good. I fucking loved Starfield. I loved Hi-Fi Rush. And also, I make no mistake about it, I fucking love Game Pass. I just don't believe in the viability, sustainability of that model, or at least not the way it's currently being rolled out, being constructed. But yeah, and to the point of continuing on about why I think the lack of exclusivity, the lack of exclusive games is bad for Xbox in general and bad for the industry in general, is I think an industry without Xbox is bad for the industry. I don't want PlayStation to be the only, major player for where you can play your big AAA releases in the console space. I don't want PlayStation to be the only high fidelity system on the market. I think that would lead to a massively just anti-consumer. That would be a place we do not want to see ourselves in. Remember, PlayStation 2 absolutely slaughtered. And then we got really arrogant PlayStation 3, $600 price for the console. And you got a real arrogant version of Sony until the 360 came back. And for the majority of that generation, we're dog walking Sony. And then Sony had to play catch and was like, oh shit, okay, well, we're dropping Infamous 2. We're dropping Uncharted. We're dropping fucking The Last of Us. We're gonna come back in a big way, and we're going to compete because we have to fucking compete. You need that competition. And once again, that competition came in the form of great exclusive software that made you buy into these ecosystems. And so for us as the consumer, we benefit greatly because we're getting these companies competing at the highest possible level to bring us the best games possible. And we have two different ecosystems that are competing and trying to keep it as consumer friendly as possible because they know they have another Titan breathing down their neck where, the sales towards the end of that generation they were neck and neck. And PlayStation 3 ended up coming out on top, but just barely. So what I'm trying to get across here is I think that there's a lot of missing the forest for the trees in the modern age argument of exclusives shouldn't be around and they're not as valuable. And like I just don't believe that's true. I don't believe that's true whenever you're seeing Nintendo with the Switch being the best selling console of all time, or going to end up being the best selling console of all time. And I think when you're seeing so many publishers and developers skip out on releasing their games for, Xbox, I think a lot of that comes off the fact that during the Xbox One generation, there were next to no exclusives towards the tail end. And then early in the Xbox Series X generation, there were no exclusives and the hardware sales were abysmal. And so developers and publishers are less inclined to release their content on your platform when your hardware sales are so low. And I still believe that exclusive games, great exclusive games, are the number one thing that's going to sell a console. And I guess continuing off of that and talking about console sales, with the Series X already struggling to sell hardware, and now the idea in everybody's head of, oh, we can wait 3-4 months or maybe a year and get your games on PlayStation 5. You're committed to this next generation of hardware, which you're calling the most powerful or the biggest leap in next gen technology or whatever the fuck Sarabon said. But now we have this idea of, oh, we can wait a few months and we'll get those games on PS5 or I guess PS6 at that time. And you're already struggling to sell hardware. Are you really committed to that next generation of hardware? Like, I'm at the point where I'm wondering if that thing's even going to come out. The rumors are like 2026, so I guess it's probably full, underway in development at this point. So maybe they do launch that, but what are the sales going to look like for that next Xbox if they're already struggling to sell Xboxes this generation, which of course a lot of that is coming off the back of the Xbox One generation where they lost all goodwill. And it takes time to earn that trust in the fan base. And I think you were starting to get to that point. I think you were starting to build up a catalog of really great exclusive games and consistently putting out at least a decent volume of games. And now I just think putting that thing in the back of people's mind where it's like, should I really go out and buy an Xbox whenever I know those games are going to come to PlayStation sometime soon? Like, I don't know. I think it's an awful idea. I worry about their commitment for future hardware, and I definitely worry about the average consumer's commitment to buying their future hardware. So maybe we do get a new Xbox in 2026, but I can't imagine those sales are going to be all that great if they're consistently putting their games elsewhere. I will always believe that exclusives are the number one reason that people go out and buy their consoles. I do believe that. I think a lot of this fool's gold theory that's being thrown out there that everybody's struggling, this doesn't work anymore, it's an ever evolving industry, oh my. I think a lot of that's bullshit. I think a lot of that is bullshit. It seems that everybody else is doing pretty damn well with the traditional model. So yeah, Xbox got themselves in a weird spot. I just wanted to air out my issues, really more than anything. Wanted to talk about why I'm so damn bummed out that I bought one of these fucking things and I only bought it for the exclusives, and now there's seemingly going to be next to no exclusives. But anyways, I guess that's my rant for the day. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hit me in the comments with your thoughts, man. I'm always open to being wrong. I'm always open to data and stats, and if anybody has any extra insight into anything, I'm an open book. Hit me in the comments, man, and we'll shoot the shit about the future of Xbox.